Hi folks, it's Dina Paco of EmbodyTheSacred.net, and I wanted to come on here and create a video for my YouTube channel because it's been a little while. And I thought, well, yesterday was my birthday and tomorrow's the new moon in Aquarius, and I am an Aquarius, and I also have 3 planets in Aquarius in the first house. And I thought, well, I think this is a really good time for me to come on and just share some thoughts and hopefully some ways to navigate these pretty insane times while we can still be of service to ourselves, our families, our communities, and our country during this time of really intense and scary change. So here are some thoughts. So Aquarian energy is very much about being innovative, being a problem solver, out of the box thinking, nonconformist, kind of quirky, I gotta say, and being a visionary, but also being a visionary for the collective and keeping in mind the greater good for humanity, for our communities. I often say I'm a deep lover and have deep care for humanity, but individual people can really piss me off at times. So I don't know if anybody can relate to that. So, thinking about the new moon in Aquarius, which is coming up tomorrow, some things we can focus on are what are our visions for the greater good, for the greater collective? What would we like to see in terms of the health and well-being of our fellow humans and for the earth herself? So, Aquarius at her highest point would not be sacrificing the greater good for our own personal choices. Like, I would love to make America healthy again. I would love to see, much healthier school lunches. All this processed food that we have is disastrous for our health. We all know this, but there would be no way that I would ever throw away the rights of other humans for my own personal desire to see avocado toast in school lunches and, kale salad. So the top priority from an Aquarian standpoint is always taking care of our fellow humans, and in particular, the more marginalized groups. Women are the largest marginalized group on the planet. So not just here in the United States, where our rights are getting ripped away right in front of our eyes, and women's health and women's reproductive health in particular is being stripped away. And there's way more beyond abortion that goes into that. So there's a lot to consider there. If we're not taking care of the women and we're not taking care of the planet, we're not really aligned with these Aquarian energies. So if we're supporting policy or supporting politicians that are stripping away protections for the environment, protections for marginalized groups, whether it's immigrants or trans kids, that's not the vibe. That is not the age of Aquarius. That is not the higher good by any way, shape, or form. If we are aligning ourselves with individuals and ideologies that may support innovative and inventive technology, but at the expense of the earth and the environment, because some technology is very draining on our natural resources and very draining on electricity and, all kinds of things like that. So we have to think about finding balance. Like, how can we advance without it draining our very precious earth and her natural resources? If we care about what goes into drinking water and we're worried about, different chemicals in water, which I certainly am, I kind of feel like these microplastics are just in everything at this point, which is not great. It's not good at all. I totally am on board with that. But if we're not worried about the actual source of water and protecting our natural resources, and instead are focusing on these individual policies about this particular chemical in water, but we're not protecting the source of water, this is nonsensical. So we need to look at things from multiple points of view. That's very Aquarian. We can get kind of stuck in our own ideas and think we know everything, but I've learned over the years that's definitely not the case. And be open to being wrong and being open to changing our minds, being open to listening to different points of view. Okay, that's where we can really learn. And again, Aquarius energy is about the collective and being for the greater good. So if we're in a position of privilege or have additional resources, we can focus those on our own particular areas of care and concern. So rather than miring ourselves with every emergency and every announcement going on in the news, picking our 2 or 3 places where we can focus our time and our energy in these areas that will support the greater good and the greater collective. So for me, human rights are foundational. For me, it comes before anything else, and that includes women's rights, people of color, the LGBTQ community, everybody having equal rights to the proper health care, integrative health care optimally, rights to whatever career they want to pursue their dreams equally, to equal pay, to equal housing and financial options, all these things. If we don't have equal support for everyone, I don't know what we have. I mean, avocado toast for lunch is nice, but there, to me, are more important things first, and then we can get to the other stuff. So I'm going to put some energy into the ACLU, American Civil Liberties Union. The other thing, too, is we don't need to recreate the wheel. We don't have to start from scratch when there are organizations that have a foundation and already have momentum in certain areas. If you want to take care of the LGBTQ community, there are organizations that have structure in place and advocacy and legal support in place. So where can we support those organizations? Is there a local one in our town that we could support? So we can start in our own backyards. Is there a piece of land that we can protect that's in our own backyard? So for me, it's human rights and it's the environment, our planet. To me, without those 2 protections and without supporting our Mother Earth and our people, the other stuff for me comes after. So for me, that's where I'm going to be focusing my energy. My business has always donated to environmental causes and planting trees and supporting the indigenous people. And also with human rights, it includes our indigenous people. Saying that they are not citizens of our country, I don't care about the paperwork, is ridiculous. They've been here for over 15,000 years. Absolutely not. Disrespecting the indigenous people, disrespecting Mother Earth, promoting white supremacy, promoting oligarchy. These are not things, this is not the right side of history. I don't care what your individual agenda item might be, being aligned with any of that in no way, shape, or form promotes the greater good, which is this Aquarian energy. It just doesn't. It's time to course correct if we're on that path, okay? So I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but yeah, I am. I am. I'm not going to be quiet about these things. If who we're supporting is aligned with any form of Yahtzee propaganda, white supremacy, wrong path. Immediately the wrong path. There is no way, in any way, shape, or form, that that's the right path to follow. So we need to keep things simple. I've been told by multiple folks that I trust to stay off of the news. It's corporate-owned media. We know it's not good. It's just going to be promoting drama and fear, which we don't need any more of that right now. So find some sources, maybe some the least biased, maybe checking in with The Guardian, the BBC, NPR, Reuters, Associated Press. There's also some really good individual creators like Aaron Parnas and Under the Desk News, Amy Siskind, Heather Cox Richardson. If anybody needs links, I can certainly, give some links. But finding your, couple of reliable sources for clear news so that we're not reacting to every little nuance that's being announced. We're going to be on this emotional roller coaster for a while, so let's not make it worse. So stay off of mainstream media and news as much as we can. Find a couple of trusted sources. The idea is not to disconnect, because there's also energies coming in that are going to want for us to bury our heads in the sand. And trust me, I've been there. I've spent many years that way, and also not speaking up and speaking out, and that time for me is over. With all that Aquarian energy in my chart, I also have Scorpio in the 10th house, which is my public persona, which also is about highlighting and pointing out the darkness and the evil, and not staying there, but pointing it out and saying, hey, this is not right, this is not okay. And also with my North Node in Taurus in the 3rd house, with communication, being very grounded and very practical about any spiritual energy that I might communicate around, and also, my Aquarian path. It has to be very grounded and practical. So staying off the news, picking 1 to 3 places where we can support and put our energy. So if it's environmental, if it's human rights, if it's our food supply, whatever you're passionate about, institutions, democracy, things like that, pick 1 to 3. They can be local, on the smaller scale within our own communities, or the state, or if you want to go further, you can do that. But pick and stick with those rather than spreading out all over the place. One of the things I've done with my business over the years is I always donate every month back to my Indigenous teachers, and I have my sources that I donate to. I can't donate to all of them, so I pick and choose the ones that have the most integrity, because that's very important to me, and where the most, I'll get the most financial support to them that I can. I also love World Central Kitchen as a source. I'm very passionate about supporting them because they've been, on the front lines in all these places of war, in all the natural disaster and climate-related emergency zones, like down in North Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, etc., with the recent storms there, out in California with the fires. We're in a climate emergency. Again, our human impact on the environment, it has caught up with us. It's the 0 hour at this point. So whatever we can do to support that, mitigate that. Certainly prayers, intentions, ceremony, drum circles, all those things matter. And also staying with the practices that bring us joy. Okay, so we don't want to give that up. Authoritarianism and dictatorships, which we're seeing proliferate and getting scarily real in our own backyard, they root themselves in fear and anger. Okay, and I've had my own share of anger over a lot of things going on. It's not like I support what our government has done. Our country was built on a foundation of genocide, slavery, and war. So here we are. We're facing our karmic retribution. And the patriarchal white supremacist ideology, right? That's part of the, whole process. So we are facing our karmic reckoning at this time. And what are we going to choose? Are we going to choose what's for the greater good rather than these hierarchical systems? That's Capricorn energy. We've moved out of Pluto and Capricorn. We are in Pluto and Aquarius, which is about the greater good. Where can we support the greater good? Especially those with less privilege than ourselves. That's this energy. That's the new moon tomorrow. Where can we hold that vision? We don't have to get mired in the negativity. Those of us who have a calling, it's literally written in my chart, to speak out. I spent most of my life silent. Most of my life, being bullied, abused. I can't do that anymore. I literally can't. That's my one of my roles, is to speak up for those who are struggling, and speak up on behalf of my connection to the earth. But your calling might be different. Maybe you're writing, maybe you're doing something right, in your neighborhood to be of service. So, we all don't have to scream into the void on social media. We all can take a different role and prioritize. We have to prioritize our own mental health and well-being and recharge our batteries, and then we can be of service. Okay? So staying off crazy news, being informed, get the headlines, figure out where you want to focus to be of service, or if you've already been doing that, just keep doing that. Find your joyful activities, recharge your batteries, and create community. Community and connection. In person, even better. Okay? So I hope this was helpful. I know not everybody might agree with things I've said, and that's okay. Wouldn't be the first time. I have a great passion for being of service as a healer. I feel like being a healer is my greatest joy. And I view being a healer as helping others create healing for themselves. And being a teacher is the reason I'm here on this planet. I know what my soul's purpose is to be the humble teacher of great heroes. And being an adjunct professor at WestConn is incredible. And I'm extremely worried about some of our students right now. What's going on in our country is having an immediate impact. People are not able to get their medications. People are not able to had signed up to be in clinical trials because they were at the end of their rope with cancer treatment, not able to get that. Prices are going up. What was promised is not being delivered. I'm personally not surprised. So let's have an open mind. Let's really look at what's going on, and let's look to be of service. And we can do it together. Thank you.